Dave Birkett here, live from Radio Row Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. I'm here with Erik Kramer, former NFL quarterback. You probably remember him best from his time with the Detroit Lions. Also played for the Chicago Bears, and we'll get into that plenty here, Erik. But first I want to start off. You have a new feature out with NFL Films, Erik Kramer's Ultimate Comeback. I know many Lions fans know the story. We wrote about it many, many years ago. But tell me about that. Let's start with that.
Well, it's really nice that the NFL Films decided to do this, basically chronicling a section of my life that was beyond football, and went into some a period of my time in life, actually started when I was with the Bears, of dealing with anxiety and depression, and went into a bit of my upbringing as a kid, and eventually ended up with, after football, losing a son, Griffin, to not only a heroin overdose, but since he was a kid, overcoming or dealing with really a brain imbalance. And then eventually later losing both of my parents and going through a divorce, and which all led to a suicide attempt. Unfortunately, I was not successful in that attempt. And so now I'm here living with, I guess, a renewed sense of purpose now. We're coming up on 10 years this coming August. And the battle back from what took me years, really, to recover from, and now be in a place where I feel very purpose-driven and have a lot of good people around me. I'm in a good spot. So thank you.
You've been very open with that since the first time we talked, maybe 10 years ago. And, those mental health struggles, I know, are not easy for people to talk about sometimes. Why have you been able to share your story? Why was it important for you to share this to help others out there?
Well, I think it initially began really as I was contacted. In fact, it wasn't even me that was contacted. A good friend of mine, Anna Durgan, was contacted by Bill Croyle, who was an author, and asked Anna, there was an article that appeared, written by Dan Wetzel, that she appeared more than I did. And so he somehow reached out to her and asked if I'd want to do this. And I didn't know him from anybody. And but I think what ultimately got me going was the idea of sort of chronicling for Griffin and Dylan, my two sons, kind of a homage to them. And then what it turned out to be in the end, so far, is so many people have been able to identify parts of their life with parts of my life, and that's been really rewarding to see that people from all walks of life can identify in some way with something in there that is impactful to them. And so that's been impactful to me.
The story by NFL Films, again, is called Erik Kramer's Ultimate Comeback. And, I know, again, from the time that we first talked, you've been very gracious with your time and open about all this. And you have touched a lot of people by sharing that. I'm sure helped a lot of people, too. So I want to share this number, suicide prevention. You can always dial pound 988 or 800-273-8255 if anyone out there is struggling with suicidal thoughts. Or needs other help mentally, and you need someone to talk to. Erik, what was, before we get into the football side of things, I don't know what was the tipping point for you as you sort of look back, but the mental space that you're in now, how do you navigate things? How do you, because things aren't going to be perfect, even though you are in a better spot. So what are the coping mechanisms, just so other people out there can recognize them if other people are struggling with things?
So, initially, I've got a small group of friends Anna and I went to high school together, and we have now in the last 5-6 years become more than friends. And so between Anna and my son Dylan, who's now 26, my aunt who lives close by, my mom's sister, and a couple other friends. I've got a small little circle of that and a psychologist that I go to, and kind of, either I'm going to express something, or they're going to see something in me that they'll ask, "Is everything okay?" And so far, because there was a long period of time there, I'd say during my recovery, probably through the first maybe 3-ish years, where I wasn't sleeping a whole lot. When I mean a whole lot, I mean not more than an hour or two. And so eventually I went to go see a neurologist specializing in brain trauma. And so I'm still on the same anti-seizure medication I was. In fact, he upped it here recently. And to sleep better, it was literally 5 milligrams of melatonin at night. And and I sleep great now. Whereas before, after probably a month, maybe 3 months of taking it, I was up to maybe 4 or 5 hours, which was a huge improvement. And then now I sleep like normal. And I think that had a big factor, because there was a period of time where I lacked what they call impulse control. And it didn't matter your age. It didn't matter your gender. I might just, for no apparent reason to the person I'm dealing with, suddenly escalate. And so there's a medication I take. But I think that also dealing with a psychologist, which I hadn't been dealing for many years, has helped. Because we go back to doing what I was doing when I was playing, which was, deep breathing exercises and sort of guided imagery, and trying to see life as it happens before it actually occurs. And so those types of things have been very, very helpful.
Well, if anyone out there is struggling, I know I would encourage them, I'm sure you would as well, to seek help, talk to someone. And if you know someone that's struggling, reach out. It can only do good for that person that's out there. And you're doing some programs with youth for mental health.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
so
tell me about that.
Yeah. So I've got a woman, Catherine Casimir, who lives, she's probably 30 miles from me in Ventura. And so she's dealt with her and her team, which is the acronym is BRITE, and I never know what it stands for, but it's BRITE. But they work with in schools with at all grade levels, and so partner up with her, and we've got a curriculum writer now who's got a master's in public health from Columbia University, and so the three of us are really embarking on what is soon to become a program called Mental Health Touchdown. And it's going to be an after-school program for the beginning. The pilot one is going to be for 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. And we're likely to have this up and running by late February, early March. And it'll be an 8-week program after school again for an hour. And so we're going to start it here in the area where I live, which is Thousand Oaks, because in 4th and 5th grade, that'll be one after-school program. But then there are also 2 middle school boys and girls clubs that sit on middle school campuses. And so we're going to select one of those as well. And then here for the second go-around, the second 8 weeks, we'll most likely have one going, not only the same 2 here at different locations, but one there in the Ann Arbor, Michigan area.
Okay. Wow. Look, it's important to start young. And, I know the Lions, among many professional sports teams now, stress mental health. They have mental health professionals on staff because, as I think we've learned through sports over the years, more recently here, it's not just about building the body, building the brain, taking care of that side of yourself as well. So
that's right. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that the idea is to be proactive, right? And not wait for down the road when you're in your 30s and 40s and 50s. If you start young as 9, 10-year-old, and then you work your way up once you're out of high school for the better half of your life, cultivating, reaching out to people to become part of your home team. First, identifying the type of people that you'd want on there. And then Catherine Casmer's background is improv. And so she gets kids to not only start conversations, but act out kind of in skits what events transpire in life. And so I think that's where we're headed with this is, again, when you stress that you're not in this alone, no matter what good or bad scenarios occur in your life, and having a little home team to go to throughout is kind of the way to go through life. And it doesn't matter the gender, doesn't matter your age. And I think that's, certainly it's a great foundation in addition to all the other things that you learn in life along the way.
Right. Destigmatize it any way possible. He's Erik Kramer, longtime former Lions quarterback, also played for the Bears. Let's transition to football real quick here. I think if I heard right, you were going to be at the NFC Championship game had the Lions made that game, had they beat Washington. They, of course, didn't, as Lions fans know.
Yeah, big stumbling block got in the way of that.
Oh, no doubt. And you ran into the Washington team yourself way back in the day. I mean, I think before this latest regime, you were the last Lions quarterback to win a playoff game. So what has this been like watching this team and the success that they've had of late?
Well, it's been an amazing journey for them. And to watch it from the outside has been incredible because, they were, when Dan Campbell got there, they were horrible. And I think that as I see it from the top down, they have put together very well crafted decisions on who should be there and who should be doing what. And from an outsider's perspective, it looks like they're making like percentage-wise, an amazing amount of good decisions in the type of player they're looking to acquire, whether it be through the draft or free agency or trade, and then the locker room atmosphere of always striving to become better. It just doesn't happen overnight, and it's been an amazing journey to watch that, and then evidenced by the mass exodus of coaches from the Lions that are now getting these tremendous opportunities to move upward.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up because there's been 8 assistants that have left already, including Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator. I looked it up. That 91 season, you guys had a great year, went to the NFC Championship game. Dave Levy was the offensive coordinator, if I remember this right. Then Dan Henning was the next year. Then they both shared the job. Can you – I don't know if that's – maybe you can walk me through the mechanics of that, but how the whole – coaching changes, what impact that may have had. I know there are a lot of other factors that went on that 92 season, but how difficult was that for the team to overcome? How long did it take you to get used to all of the coaching changes that took place?
A while. I love Dan Henning, but I think so many decisions occurred that left us as players scratching our heads, and there really didn't seem to be any reason why, and it certainly wasn't explained, unlike what's going on with these current Lions. And that's why I think, okay, they didn't make the NFC Championship game this year, but they're going to be around a while. And when you look to see how an organization is run, I don't think back in the early 90s, people were dissecting how well the Lions were run,
no.
Which is
right.
A far cry from today. So I think, when when coaches come and go, I mean, that's the way the business is built. People do get opportunities. But I think the fact that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell and Sheila Hempford and Chris Spielman and all the like Ray Agnew. Ray Agnew and I were teammates at NC State. When I was a senior, he was a freshman. And then they also brought on here recently Dwayne Joseph, who he was played nickel corner with the Bears when I was there. And when Dave Wonsek went down to Miami, that's how Dwayne got into scouting. And so and it's amazing how he left the Raiders because of Ray Agnew. And so I think that the Lions now are kind of the blueprint for how to run an organization. You know, I'll bet you there are teams out there studying how they're doing it. And I have a feeling, I have a really good feeling that the coaches that are replaced are going to either be replaced from within, or that they're going to step into a situation now where things are done at a high level and the expectation and the blueprint for how to do that is already set.
No, you're right about that. The Lions have already promoted Kelvin Shepard from within, so one internal promotion for a coordinator spot, and then certainly the offensive coordinator had some previous experience in Johnny Morton with the team. So some familiarity, and you're absolutely right. I know there are teams out there that have looked at the Lions as the way to build a franchise, and that was never the case for a long, long time. Your other old team, the Chicago Bears, took one of the Lions coaches, Ben Johnson. You've been the single season passing leader for the Bears for a long, long time, a couple decades now. How much longer does that last now that Caleb Williams has Ben Johnson calling plays for him?
Well, I think that I hope it doesn't last another year. I hope that my preference would be that Caleb Williams. Here's what I think it's going to take. I think Caleb, for all of his talent that most people don't have, what he doesn't have that all great quarterbacks eventually do have is the ability to do little things very well, like consistent things, like just drop back, get your feet and eyes to work together, read the coverages, move defenders with your body language, hit the open guy on time, let him run after the catch. Those are the things that when he gets that in order, then once you get that, then you can start becoming the Caleb Williams with the Superman cape on when all of that breaks down. But if you don't have those fundamentals first, then it's going to be, kind of what he looked like this year. But I do think that with Ben Johnson and then JT Barrett as a quarterback coach, I think that's going to be a really good, because JT's played, at a high level before himself. And my thought is that it's no coincidence that the Bears and Ben Johnson are assembling a staff that has a high number of former players themselves, and Antron Randall and Eric Bieniemy and others. And so I think that, I think he's going to end up putting together, Ben Johnson, the right mix of energetic, youthful coaches along with valuable, experienced coaches. And we'll hope for the best, but I think he's seen it done in both Miami and Detroit, and it wasn't all just, roses the whole way. So I think he's got a good experience on both sides of the coin.
Yep. No, he learned from Dan on how to put that staff together. All right, let's get you out of here on this Super Bowl 59 this week. Patrick Mahomes going for a third straight, which is pretty amazing in its own right. Good Philadelphia Eagles team. Who do you like this week and why?
Well, I think, first of all, it's a great Philadelphia Eagles team. And I think there's a reason why there hasn't been a three-peat Super Bowl winner to this point. And that is that it takes a lengthy time to stay hungry. And I think that's what Philadelphia has that maybe Kansas City doesn't at this point, along with a far superior base of talent and that are also equally well coached. And so if you're looking for a prediction, then my prediction is that Philadelphia wins the Super Bowl by at least a couple scores. I'm going to say minimum 10
Oh, wow.
points.
Wow. All right. The three-peat does not happen. We'll see if that plays out this weekend. He's Erik Kramer. Again, NFL Films, Erik Kramer's Ultimate Comeback. It's online. I know that right now. I'm sure it'll be on NFL Network as well. Make sure you watch it and check it out. If you haven't read any of the stories, it's definitely a story worth monitoring or worth reading. And if you know anyone who's struggling with mental health, again, suicide prevention, dial pound 988. If you are having problems or know anyone who is, 800-273-8255 is the other suicide prevention national hotline number. Erik Kramer, I appreciate you joining me here. Dave Birkett, Free Press, live from Radio Row, Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans.